President Sisi reaffirms Egypt's steadfast rejection of any attempts to displace Palestinians. The Israeli government stresses that Hamas will have no role in Gaza's future governance. And the Trump administration prepares a new set of sanctions targeting key sectors of Russia's economy.
كل الشكر لمصر العظيمة، مصر الشعب المصري العظيم الذي نحبه من أعماق قلوبنا نحن كفلسطينيين.
تقدير الكبير لدور مصر في منع أخطر مؤامرة كانت تجري، وهي التطهير العرقي والتهجير للشعب الفلسطيني.
موقف مصر الذي منع التهجير، موقف مصر الذي ساند القضية على مدار عشرات السنوات الماضية.
بات من الضروري والملح الآن التحرك وطنيا وفلسطينيا وبدعم من الشقيقة مصر من أجل بلسمة جراح شعبنا.
لا يفوتني في هذه اللحظة أن أشكر إخواننا في مصر على الجهود الكبيرة التي بذلت.
ما كنا نسعى إليه على امتداد الشهور الماضية بمساهمة نشطة من قبل إخوتنا في جمهورية مصر العربية كان يهدف إلى إقرار وإحلال وقف إطلاق النار.
طالما احتضنت القاهرة اللقاءات الوطنية بشكل دائم.
The news in detail. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has reaffirmed Egypt's steadfast rejection of any attempts to displace Palestinians from Gaza, stressing confidence in Egypt's ability to end the crisis and alleviate the suffering of the Palestinians. He underscored that Egypt's stance and the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement reflect the justice of the Palestinian cause. President Sisi emphasized that Egypt has neither wronged nor encroached upon anyone's rights, highlighting that true victory stems primarily from the strength and unity of the people. For a nation that refuses defeat is destined to prevail. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has expressed gratitude for ending the Gaza war after 2 years of suffering, highlighting Egypt's decisive and principled stance against displacement. He stressed that Egypt's efforts focused on peace and Palestinian rights. That came as President Sisi attended Egypt's national celebration Nation of Peace, marking the 52nd anniversary of the October War victory. Upon arrival, President Sisi signed Egypt's message of peace to the world, reaffirming peace as a strategic and enduring principles of Egypt's policy. The Egyptian president also praised the October War spirit, emphasizing that victory came through the strength and the resilience of the Egyptian people. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has declared that Israel does not seek permission from any party to launch strikes in Gaza. Speaking at a cabinet meeting, he stressed that his country alone determines its security policy and which international forces it deems acceptable. Netanyahu said Israel will continue to act independently and respond to any threats as seen in Lebanon and Gaza. He added that this approach has been acknowledged and accepted by the United States, according to recent statements from senior American officials. The Israeli government spokesperson has said Israel currently holds the remains of 13 detainees recovered from Gaza, affirming that efforts are underway to retrieve all missing Israeli bodies. In a press briefing, she stressed that Hamas will have no role in Gaza's future governance and confirmed that Israel intends to maintain full security control over the Gaza Strip to prevent any resurgence of militant activity. The Israeli occupation military has announced carrying out an airstrike in Al-Nusayrat in central Gaza despite a ceasefire mediated by US President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Al-Auda hospital has reported receiving 4 wounded civilians after a strike hit a car near the Al-Ahli club in Al-Nusayrat camp. That came as the Israeli occupation military has reaffirmed it would continue operations in Gaza to remove any immediate threat to its forces. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced that Washington is seeking input on a potential UN resolution or international agreement to authorize a multinational peacekeeping force in Gaza. The proposal is expected to be discussed in Qatar today. Rubio has explained that several nations interested in contributing funds or personnel will require such authorization due to their domestic legal frameworks. Rubio told reporters abroad his flight between Israel and Qatar before heading to Asia that they have a whole team working on that outline.
As international mediators work to preserve the Gaza ceasefire, renewed Israeli attacks are threatening to collapse it. In the past 48 hours, the occupation army has killed at least 19 Palestinians across the Strip. Civil defense teams report that bombardments have continued despite the truce, leaving families trapped between destroyed homes and unsafe streets. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Hamas to hand over the bodies of deceased detainees in the next 48 hours, saying he is closely monitoring the group's actions in Gaza. At the same time, Washington is pushing to establish an international stabilization force for Gaza without deploying American troops to oversee security and reconstruction. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio voiced hope of soon putting together an international force to help the ceasefire in Gaza, as Palestinian factions agreed that a committee of independent technocrats would run the post-war territory. This comes after his visit to Israel as part of an all-out effort by the U.S. to monitor the ceasefire. On the ground, recovery operations remain dangerous and slow. Egyptian officials have entered Gaza with heavy equipment to help locate the remains of detainees buried under the rubble. The search continues amid unstable conditions and repeated Israeli violations. Humanitarian organizations warn that aid delivery remains restricted by Israel with limited access through southern corridors. The next days will test whether the ceasefire can hold under ongoing Israeli aggression, while questions remain about who will govern the Strip and how, as proposals for an independent stabilization force are still under discussion.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has issued a constitutional decree. The decree assigns the deputy chairman of the Palestine Liberation Organization Executive Committee to assume the duties of the Palestinian Authority president in case of vacancy. Earlier, the Fatah movement has affirmed that the statement issued by several Palestinian factions after the meeting in Cairo underscore that the true guarantor of any unified Palestinian vision is the Palestine Liberation Organization and the State of Palestine. Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati has discussed efforts toward Palestinian reconciliation unity with the Palestinian Vice President Hussein al-Sheikh. They discussed the developments in the Palestinian territories within the framework of ongoing coordination. The two reviewed preparations for the upcoming Cairo conference on early recovery and reconstruction in Gaza, emphasizing the need for strong international support. They also discussed the recent constitutional declaration by Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas aimed at strengthening state institutions. Abdulati reaffirmed Egypt's continued backing of the Palestinian Authority, its efforts to rebuild Gaza, and its commitment to the establishment of an independent Palestinian state, with East Jerusalem as its capital. Hamas leader Khalil al-Hayya has stated that Israel failed to achieve its objectives after 2 years of war, affirming that Hamas will not provide any pretext for renewed fighting. He revealed that 20 Israeli detainees were handed over within 72 hours of the ceasefire and that new areas will be searched Sunday to locate the remains of Israeli detainees. Al-Hayya confirmed agreement among factions that the UN mission will oversee Gaza's reconstruction, stressing openness to any national figure residing in Gaza to manage the territory. He reiterated Hamas' readiness for election, noting that the arms issue remains under discussion and that UN forces would be accepted as border monitor. Jordan's King Abdullah II has reaffirmed his country's unwavering support for the people of Gaza, pledging to continue sending humanitarian aid and medical assistance. Speaking at the opening of the second ordinary session of the 20th Jordanian Parliament, the king rejected ongoing Israeli violations in the West Bank and emphasized the Hashemite custodianship over Islamic and Christian holy sites in Jerusalem. He highlighted Jordan's resilience amid regional and global crises, its progress in political and economic reforms, and the continued drive to modernize education, healthcare, and transport systems, stressing that Jordan remains strong and steadfast despite surrounding challenges. And in the West Bank, far-right Israeli Minister Bezalel Smotrich has urged pro-annexation settlers to hold weekly demonstrations similar to the protest by families of Israeli detainees, aiming to pressure U.S. President Donald Trump into reversing his opposition to Israel's plan to impose sovereignty over parts of the occupied West Bank. That came as U.S. President Donald Trump has recently reiterated his firm rejection of any annexation move following the Knesset's preliminary approval of a bill authorizing it, warning Israel that pursuing expansionist policies could jeopardize U.S. support. Smotrich, however, has earlier expressed confidence that the American president would eventually change his stance on the annexation issue. And moving on, U.S. President Donald Trump has held talks with Qatari Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, focusing on bilateral cooperation and key regional developments amid rising tensions. U.S. President Trump praised the strong and enduring partnership between the two nations, describing Qatar as a great ally of the United States. He emphasized that the Middle East is now more stable and that Washington seeks to preserve that stability through continued cooperation with Doha. And in Iran, Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Baqir Qalibaf has dismissed European efforts to reinstate sanctions on Tehran, calling them lacking any legal basis. Speaking before Parliament, he said the joint message from Iran, Russia and China to the UN reflects a united stance against what they view as unlawful Western pressure. Qalibaf added that under paragraph 8 of the UN Resolution 2231, all prior restrictions have expired, affirming Iran's right to enrich uranium and closing its nuclear file at the Security Council. Meanwhile, he noted that the three nations' ambassadors sent a letter to the IAEA rejecting the snapback mechanism, calling it a legal victory for Iran and a sign of shifting global power dynamics.
كل المستهدفين هم مدنيين. شيء مرعب، شيء بخوف.
Media outlets reported that Israel conducted 2 assassination operations in the Lebanese areas of Naqoura and Nabi Sheet, targeting individuals suspected of belonging to armed factions. They added that an Israeli airstrike targeted a vehicle in the Nabi Sheet area of the Baalbek district in eastern Lebanon, resulting in the death of at least 1 person. Two people were killed in new airstrikes by the Israeli occupation forces on towns in southern and eastern Lebanon. The Lebanese Ministry of Health stated in a press release that an Israeli strike targeted a vehicle in the town of Naqoura in the Tyr district in southern Lebanon, killing 1 person, while another person was killed in a separate strike targeting a vehicle in the town of Nabishit in the Baalbek district.
هيدي الربيد انضرب هون. مين هو هيدا؟
An Israeli drone targeted al-Sawi, a leader in Lebanon's Hezbollah, in his hometown of Nabashit in Beqa region. Media sources confirmed that al-Musawi is a member of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, studied medicine in Tehran, and held a prominent position among the senior officials in the military operations carried out by the party. Egypt's Minister of Labour, Mohamed Gibran, has announced that Saturday, 1st of November, will be a paid public holiday for private sector workers to mark the inauguration of the Grand Egyptian Museum, the GEM, the country's most ambitious cultural project. The decision, issued under Circular Number 20 of the year 2025, aligns with a cabinet directive granting the same holiday to government employees and state-owned companies. Employers may require staff to work if needed, but must provide double pay or a compensatory day off as per Labour Law Number 14 of the year 2025. The move highlights the national significance of the GEM's long-awaited opening, hailed as a milestone of cultural pride and international recognition. Jordanian Minister of State for Media Affairs and Government spokesperson Dr. Mohammed Moumani has praised the Grand Egyptian Museum opening as a cultural and civilizational achievement for Egypt and the Arab world. Moumani described Egypt as the mother of creativity and the cradle of distinguished talents, noting that the museum embodies the greatness of Egyptian history and its influence on global civilization. He highlighted the strong tourism ties between Egypt and Jordan, calling GEM a symbol of authenticity, combined with modernity and a platform for cultural and historical cooperation. Moumani added, "Whenever we see Egyptian success, we rejoice. If Egypt is well, then the Arabs are well," wishing Egypt continued progress under the leadership and people. In preparations for the opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum on November the 1st, just a few days away, the name of King Khufu Boat's museum shines once again as one of the most prominent symbols of Egyptian civilization, a civilization that combined faith, intellect, and engineering. Inside the Grand Egyptian Museum, a new and unique experience has been created. The Khufu Boats Museum offering visitors an unparalleled journey through history. This museum is considered one of the most distinctive of its kind in the world, housing two rare archaeological treasures, the first and the second Khufu boats, among the oldest and largest organic artifacts ever preserved through the millennia. For the first time in the history, the two royal boats will be displayed side by side in a single location within the Grand Egyptian Museum. Egypt is preparing to inaugurate the Grand Egyptian Museum on November the 1st, 2025, in a ceremony expected to draw leaders and officials from around the world. Built as the world's largest archaeological museum, it has released an official introductory film highlighting key collections and what visitors can expect.
Welcome to the Grand Egyptian Museum, where ancient history and modern wonder come together in a captivating blend of past, present, and future. A first of its kind, the gem will be the largest archaeological museum dedicated to a single civilization. Geometrically aligned with the timeless Great Pyramids, and a mere 2 kilometers from the Giza Plateau, the gem's strategic location provides a well-rounded experience encompassing culture, touristic sites, and recreation. The gem was designed with wonder in mind, a wonder of scale, architecture, culture, innovation, and history. Every detail of the building is deliberately progressive, sustainable, and breathtaking. The scale, dramatic roofs, avant-garde lighting systems, and decorative motifs give the Grand Egyptian Museum a dynamic and mesmerizing identity, unseen in other museums. The design is defined by a large stone translucent alabaster entrance, and the northern and southern walls and the middle section of the building are aligned with the pyramids of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure. The general design concept gives visitors layered experiences that unfold with every step. Upon entering the Grand Egyptian Museum, visitors are fascinated by the sight of the only hanging obelisk in the world, a unique feature that sets the tone for the awe-inspiring journey ahead. The grandeur continues as one steps into the majestic Grand Hall, where the colossal 80-ton statue of Ramses II stands as a testament to ancient Egyptian craftsmanship and power. Close ahead awaits the imposing grand staircase, spanning an impressive 6,000 square meters and rising to a height equivalent to 6 floors. Ascending the grand staircase, visitors pass by 59 impressive royal statues and artifacts. Upon reaching the top, they are rewarded with a breathtaking panoramic view of the iconic pyramids. With thousands of ancient artifacts, including the complete collection of King Tutankhamun, meticulously reunited for the first time since its discovery. This unparalleled collection offers visitors a comprehensive glimpse into the splendor and grandeur of ancient Egyptian civilization. Beyond the museum's main building, visitors are invited to explore the Khufu's Boats Museum, where they can marvel at the ancient wonders that were believed to have sailed across the skies. History buffs and Egyptophiles alike can also delve into the state-of-the-art conservation center, offering a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the meticulous preservation of ancient artifacts. While the gem's focus extends beyond providing a modern abode for historical artifacts, it also thrives as a vibrant cultural complex, community hub, and knowledge center, bringing the community together through engaging events and a shared appreciation for innovation, creativity, and art, featuring exhibition spaces, conference facilities, educational suites, an augmented reality experience, auditoriums, co-working spaces, a cinema, a library, and extensive outdoor gardens. There's something to suit every taste. Visitors can also drink and dine at one of the appetizing restaurants. Indulge in an exquisite dining experience overlooking the pyramids, or immerse themselves in the retail area that houses leading Egyptian brands filled with local treasures and crafts. This new wonder in the making uniquely combines the magic of the past, the vibrancy of the present, and the promise of the future.
Media outlets reported intense clashes between the Sudanese armed forces and the rapid support forces in the city of El Fasher. According to the reports, the Sudanese army is RSF positions from all directions in El Fasher. The Sudanese Doctors Union has announced that one person was killed and 3 others were injured following a rapid support forces shelling of El Fasher Teaching Hospital. The union stated that targeting hospitals and healthcare facilities constitutes a war crime and a clear violation of international law. It also called on the international community to take immediate and urgent action to protect civilians in El Fasher. The Trump administration has prepared a new set of sanctions targeting key sectors of Russia's economy. President Vladimir Putin continues to delay ending Moscow's conflict with Ukraine. Officials said Washington has also encouraged the European Union to use frozen Russian assets to fund U.S. weapons purchases for Kiev and is exploring similar measures domestically. While it remains unclear if these steps will be implemented soon, the move signals the administration's readiness to escalate pressure following Trump's recent sanctions on Moscow. In that context, Trump has acknowledged that securing peace in Ukraine has proven far more difficult than expected. Kremlin has warned that Russia would deliver an overwhelming response to any strikes deep inside its territory, echoing President Vladimir Putin's earlier remarks. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Russia's armed forces are fully prepared to retaliate with force if strikes occur deep inside the country. He reiterated President Vladimir Putin's warning that Moscow will not bow to U.S. or foreign pressures. In that context, Putin recently confirmed the completion of tests for the nuclear-powered Bruvers-Stink cruise missile and ordered the military to move towards its deployment, signaling greater strategic readiness. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin, but before we wrap up, here is a recap of the top stories making headlines of this hour. President Sisi reaffirms Egypt's steadfast rejection of any attempts to displace Palestinians. The Israeli government stresses that Hamas will have no role in Gaza's future governance. And the Trump administration prepares a new set of sanctions targeting key sectors of Russia's economy. That's all for now. For more stories and live updates, follow Qnews on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at QNewsAGY. From all of us, we thank you so much for watching, and good night.